Hello and welcome. Improvising out of makeshift materials is what it's all about. The unit is called Quad Cannon, thus autocannons are the first in line. It starts with short segments of guitar string sandwiched between two pieces of cardboard using superglue. The same superglue is used to attach cylinders. These side plates are a result of quick improvisation. I was not aiming to imitate any particular prototype, just wanted to make something quick and visually interesting. These circles and the paper scroll will be the base for the rotating turret. The turret itself starts from the side plate and spacers. This crosspin made out of tightly rolled paper will serve as a vertical rotation axle. At this stage it assists with proper alignment. Trying to come up with a synchronized rotating mechanism at this scale has proven to be a bit challenging, and in retrospect I can see that this mechanism is essentially useless. The model would be just fine even with guns on each side rotating independently, but now it just has this little quirk. As you can see already, I am not strictly copying the in-game model, and I wanted my interpretation of this vehicle to at least make some sense from a real-world perspective. To achieve that I had two options. One was to make it more like a real-life gun truck, and they are usually armed with manually operated autocannons such as ZU-23. And if I went with that I would have either to sculpt one or two gunners or to leave the gunner seats empty. Though I may try to scout vehicle crew or infantry in the future. The other option was to make it a radar-operated system, like Shilka, Tunguska or Flakpanzer Gepard. And at least the game lore kind of supports that, because the highest level of upgrade features something that looks like a search radar. The Quad Cannon is based on a half-track chassis, and if I were to apply my real-life logic to this vehicle, this particular feature is the most unlikely to emerge out of the makeshift nature of the GLA arsenal. Simply because in both military or civilian application, these types of chassis were phased out of service long time ago. But the only thing that matters now is that they are visually interesting. That's why we love them, aren't we? The model is built around the main frame that combines driver's cabin and the gun platform. The radiator assembly, aside from being a visual detail, also functions as a very rigid spacer. Another deviation from the game that I came up with is this imitation of the auxiliary power generator. Not only does it add to aesthetics, but it also makes sense from purely technical standpoint. After all, as far as I know, most of the mobile anti-air installations do not use the main engine to power up their weaponry. And yet another deviation from the in-game model, ironically enough, the result of the need to implement the in-game feature. The in-game unit, unlike its many real-life counterparts, can easily shoot in all directions, including the front. The 3D model has a rather oversized turret and a low-seating cabin, so it does not stand in the way. On my project it was not the case, hence the need for the raised platform underneath the turret. At this point you can see another one of my additions. This hump behind the driver's cabin is the housing for the operator's post and targeting equipment. Without it, my build just felt incomplete. The frontal part of the vehicle is vaguely modeled after the Soviet Kraz 257. But that doesn't matter much because at this stage most of the parts were improvised without any preparation, planning, drawings or references. Another aesthetic addition that I felt should make sense is some hatches. If this was a real vehicle, these hatches would provide access for maintenance. After all, the GLA takes a great pride in its experience in field repairs. These bars are supposed to represent the legs that can be extended to stabilize the platform when setting up a stationary position. These areas are painted first. Initially I was thinking that I will attach the chassis immediately after. Here I apply thick acrylic paint to imitate the bolt heads. Without varnish on the surface, the pin wash acts more like a filter. I'm using it just to darken the area. And I have decided to paint everything before the final assembly. Now about that synchronized rotation axle. Because in this mechanism there is no way to remove the autocannons, any layer of paint or varnish, if left to dry completely, can obstruct the rotation, thus defeating the purpose. Couple of times I had to apply force to unjam it, but anyway, lo and behold, it does the thing as intended. Paint that I'm using, same as in previous builds, just some cheap acrylics mixed by hand. For dry brushing I use just the base color mixed with white. I use just a single tone and it serves two purposes. First, it saves me time and effort, and it's good because I am lazy. And also,
I do not have patience for this.
And the second, with this approach green parts look extra weathered. And now I can paint the windows, because from now on it's just varnish and pin wash. All the parts can be assembled now. And covered with glossy varnish in preparation for pin washing. And now removing the excessive pin wash from open surfaces with the white spirit. The way I see it, it doesn't have to be perfect. After all is done, the remaining pin wash serves as a filter and weathering. and the finishing touch application of matte varnish. Wait, actually the finishing touch was touching up the headlamps with silvery marker, but I did not get it on camera.
I'll puncture the next thing that moves.